And in business, Deputy Auditor General in charge of Central Government Audit, George Swansea Winful, will join us in studio to discuss the just released Auditor General's report. These and many more stories coming up in our bulletin.
Founding member of the ruling New Patriotic Party and has served in numerous capacities at both party and national levels. A seasoned politician in Ghana, his political career dated back to the 1960s when he was in charge of planning in Dr. Kwame Nkrumah's government. For a very long time, from Professor Kofi Ebrifo-Buzia's regime to January 6, 2009, Mr. MENSAH was the representative of the people of Sunyani in Parliament. He proceeded to the University of London in 1954 and studied for both bachelor's and
Adodankwa Akufo-Addo has just sworn into office a 9-member board that is supposed to oversee the activities of the Office of the Special Prosecutor. Now, after the President administered the two oaths, the oath of office and also the oath of secrecy to this 9-member board, the President charged the board to, as a matter of urgency, ensure that the activities of the Special Prosecutor, as expected by Ghanaians, which is to fight corruption, is achieved. The President did not miss words at all, indicating to the board that they have a very onerous responsibility to ensure that the Special Prosecutor, Mr. Martin Amidu, together with his deputy, Madam Cynthia Lamte, work so hard to ensure that the public service is rid of.
All right, Wilberforce, from the 9-member board, are you able to give us some names? Hello, Wilberforce. All right. Seems like we've lost Wilberforce there, but however, we'll be working on a line to try and get a hold of him back to give us some more interesting developments at the presidency as opposed to this. But moving along to our next story there, still in connection, is that the President, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, has assured that his administration will fix the Eastern Corridor road since, in his view, the erstwhile John Mahama administration failed to execute the job. Nana Akufo-Addo made the remarks while addressing the chiefs and people of Howe on day 2 of his Volta regional tour.
Works on the Eastern Corridor Road project stalled for the lack of funds and non-payment to contractors. The previous government of the National Democratic Congress promised to complete the road project in its manifesto for the December 2016 general election, but lost power in 2016. President Akufo-Addo, while addressing the chiefs and people of Hohoe on day 2 of the Volta regional tour, criticized the previous NDC government for failing to fix the deplorable roads.
When we came to power, there were a lot of problems with the cocoa rows. So Cocoa Board had to stop work and to do rationalization. They did it across the nation, so work stalled here. Now the rationalization report is out, and Rodida company was exonerated, from any malfeasance, any malpractices, and I've been holding meetings with my colleague, the sector minister. So we are going to ask them to come back. We are arranging and working hard to pay some outstanding debts to them so that they can come back and continue the work. The rough road we have traveled on.
He assured that government will continue with the project and complete it to open up the area to commerce and reduce the drudgery of traveling on the rugged road. The Eastern Corridor Road project, designated N2 of the National Road Network, is a south to north road which starts from the Tema motorway and ends at Kulungungu on the country's border with Burkina Faso. It is 965 kilometers long and traverses the Greater Accra, Eastern, Volta, Northern and Upper East regions.
Let's now return to the inauguration of the Special Prosecutor Board, which happened earlier on today. And I understand Wilberforce is now ready for us once again to give us some developments on that. Wilberforce, please go ahead. Let me just repeat where we left off. You told us an update about the 9-member board that has been inaugurated and also what the president had to say with regards to this. Now, can you mention some names for us from some of the 9 members of the board?
Well, indeed, yes, Larato. The Special Prosecutor, Mr. Martin Amidu himself, is a member of the board, as much as his deputy, Cynthia Lamte, also a representative on the board. The Audit Service is represented by Mr. Reku Tewia, and the Ghana Police Service is represented by the Director of CID, Mame Tewia Adudankwa. Other members include representatives from the Economic and Organized Crime Office, Charles Nana Entry, and one Kofi Boache, who is a member of the Financial Intelligence Agency. Linda Ofori Kwafo is a female representative on the board from the Corruption Civil Society organizations. And perhaps the last person I'll mention is a representative of the National Security Minister, and that is Kweku Domfe. So this 9-member board is constituted from probably across all the agencies that have something to do with the fight against corruption.
And when is it likely to start its operation, as in when do they resume work?
Well, indeed, the act that sets up the Office of the Special Prosecutor requires that once the board is constituted by the president, they will meet straight away and choose somebody to chair the board. And so it is expected that this board will meet momentarily to choose a chairperson or a chairwoman to chair the entire board. And as soon as they have a chairperson, their work kickstarts.
And now, Wilberforce, from your observation, do you perhaps think that now that the board has been inaugurated and arrangements for a chairperson is underway, as you've just reported, that we will see the Office of the Prosecutor more active publicly? Because, I mean, ever since he was sworn into oath, there hasn't really been much we've heard from that office.
Indeed, yes. The Office of the Special Prosecutor could not do any work without a governing board because of the act that brought it into being, Act 959. And so to the extent that the board has been constituted now means that the Special Prosecutor Office can now start its activities. If it did anything without the influence of a board, that activity or whatever it is that they would have done will be null and void. And so now that there is a board, their work can kickstart immediately. And that is one of the charges that the president gave to this board while he was doing the inauguration. He told them specifically that it is time for them to start their work and to ensure that they help deal with the issue of corruption, which has engulfed the public space of our country.
All right, Wilberforce, now, it's very interesting that this inauguration also takes part when the Auditor General has also released its report, you know, also pertaining to the subject of corruption. Do you perhaps think that there's a linkage within these reports?
Well, what I do know is that the Auditor General releases his report annually, and usually it is around this time. And so perhaps it can be a coincidence that the board of the Office of the Special Prosecutor is inaugurated at the time when the Auditor General is also releasing his report. Indeed, the Auditor General's report is one of the sources of information to the Office of the Special Prosecutor, and that is why there is a representative on the board from the Audit Service who is nominated by the Director General of the Ghana Audit Service. And so I see it as a coincidence, but it's also one way or the other linked to ensure that the fight against corruption in our country is tackled holistically.
Wilberforce, just a moment, you hold on for me. I will still need to engage you further on the next story where a commercial high court presided over by Justice Samuel Asedu has granted an application by the Attorney General seeking an interlocutory injunction against all executives of the Ghana Football Association, that is the GFA, pending the completion of processes to formally liquidate the GFA. Now, at the last court sitting, the Ghana Football Association was granted leave by the commercial, was granted leave by the Commercial High Court to file an affidavit to oppose a motion filed by the Attorney General Gloria Ekufor seeking an interlocutory injunction to stop executives of the GFA from carrying out their duties until the court determines the state's case, asking GFA to be liquidated. And once again, we go back to my colleague Wilberforce Asara, who will give us a bit of more details, or clarity rather, as to what this means. Wilberforce.
Hello, Larato.
Yes, please. On this particular subject of the court deciding to liquidate the GFA, what does this ruling mean to the existence of GFA?
Well, so indeed, today in the court, I spent a bit of time there before coming to the presidency. Now, the judge in his ruling today said that the explanation given by lawyers of the GFA that the application by the Attorney General was frivolous is untenable. The judge indicated that the application has merit, and so he goes ahead to grant it. And so all executives of the Ghana Football Association are actually injuncted interlocutorily, and they are unable to go to the GFA to perform any function whatsoever. Now, the other side of it is that the state is looking at totally winding up the GFA and liquidating it. The court went ahead to appoint the Registrar General of Ghana to preside over the activities to liquidate the Ghana Football Association. So, tentatively, what it means is that the move by government, as it were, to liquidate the Ghana Football Association on charges of corruption have been activated. The process is now in motion per the court order, and what it means is that in no time the Ghana Football Association will no longer be existent. Ghana will have the opportunity to create a new association that will be responsible for managing Ghana's football and taking it to the next level.
About new association, are we to expect a new name for this said association?
Well, the creating of a new association will have to be done in tandem with the laws of FIFA. And I am not so much abreast with the laws of FIFA, but I do know that there are basic requirements as to choosing people to manage football in Ghana vis-a-vis the rules of FIFA. And those rules will be, the Attorney General, I should say, will be mindful of those rules as they are working together with FIFA to ensure that they can revamp Ghana's football. And so I believe that once the Attorney General and his people get to that bridge, they should be able to cross it.
Very much, Wilberforce, for that update. Well, as much as you're not well averse with the FIFA law, so am I still to be familiar with some of the legal terms there. Interlocutory injunction, I've learned. I remember having this some years earlier on in my broadcasting experience with the Prima Fica, and I called it a Prima Facie. Well, moving along to the rest of our stories in our bulletin today, away from our legal matters to the Ministry of Information and Health, together with the Interim Management Committee of the University of Ghana Medical Center, have indicated that all is set for the facility to begin operations on July 18th of 2018. The government announced the opening date after persistent outrage over the abandonment of the $217 million medical center. Over 18 months since the Mahama administration commissioned the first phase of the facility, the current government is yet to open the facility to the public, citing technical reasons. But at a media engagement on Wednesday, the managers of the facility revealed that they will finally begin with the operationalization of the outpatient department, that's the OPD. And And to engage us more on this particular story is Robert Cujo, who's joining us on our phone lines. Good day. Thank you very much for joining us, Robert. Now, this will now be, the date has come out as the 18th of July. Is the facility ready?
It's ready.
Now, what has necessitated this move? Is it the pressure coming from Kolebu or some of the recent stories that have been coming out about the no-bed syndrome in our hospitals in general in the country?
Madam, I don't even want to talk because the use of the word the government has abandoned, it's not a proper term to use. The government has not abandoned anything. I don't know whether you've been to that facility before. And the structures that are there. 1.5 years, the government is working around the clock to ensure the facility is open, and the government has abandoned it, and won't me to talk about it, and accept the fact that it has been abandoned. Go and look at the facility, and go and look at the things that are needed, and look at the reason for putting up that structure. So please, the government has not abandoned anything. We have a lot of work to be done at that facility. We are in phases. The phases also come with stages. We are opening one point on 18th, as we've been told. And then from there, progress will be made regarding opening other facilities as we go along. So the government is doing all that it can to ensure that the facility comes on board to add up to whatever we have. It's not a pressure. It's not that if there are no beds, this no bed thing started. We started talking about this a few days or something weeks ago. But the hospital was built almost 2 years ago. So I don't think the use of the word abandon and that word is pressure there because of the no bed syndrome.
All right, point made, sir, but you have indeed made us alert that there's a lot of work. And one of the work I want to find out from you is, has the government recruited the requisite personnel to work at this facility? And are they already at post?
All these are being handled by the Interim Management Committee, and they are working seriously in all this. You know, some adverts were done. Some interviews were conducted. The list has been handed over to the interim management. Some recommendations have been made. So, with regard to staffing, it's ready. In fact, the complement will be like 3,000. And because the facility, as it is not going to be open all at the same time, it's going to be done in phases. Some of the recommended staff will start work as soon as it's opened to the public, and then as we go along, as other equipment are also installed, as other logistics are provided, as other issues are resolved, and then gradually the entire hospital will be opened.
All right, thank you very much, sir. I understand that obviously it's a process, some things are not ready, but on the 18th of July, as it will open, will it also be open to the public to come in? Is treatment going to start happening, or it's just going to be commissioned open on the 18th of July? What's the status on that particular day? That's like 4 or 5 days away from today.
When you get there on 18th, they will explain everything to you. Okay?
Thank you very much then, very well, Robert Cujo, for your time. That is the Public Relations Officer of the Ministry of Health. On that note, let's go on a social media breakdown move. We'll be back with some more news. Welcome back, and if you're just tuning in, you're watching Newsroom right here on GH1 TV, and we continue with our stories on our bulletin this hour. Health Minister Cujo Menu has once again directed management of the Kolebu Teaching Hospital to continue admitting patients to emergency ward of the facility. The directive follows another directive from management of Kolebu to other hospitals to stop referring patients to the facility.
The move comes on the back of public outrage following circulation of pictures of patients receiving treatment in plastic chairs they have to buy and on the floors. Speaking to the media in Parliament, GHOne Menu appealed to the hospital not to turn patients away.
You see, you just don't get up and go to Kolebu, one, without referrals. That will help take us some part of the load. We are now exploring areas where we can even begin to offload people who are staying in Kolebu for a very long term, so that somebody sits on a bed for 3 months, 2.5 months. If you have a place where we can put such people, we will release some space for people in Kolebu to do their work very well. I think the doctors and the nurses and the health workers there, including me, the minister, are getting a little bit overburdened with the top of challenges that are coming. But we have taken up the challenge to resolve some of these matters.
Menu also appealed to patients not to resort to only Kolebu, but patronize other satellite health facilities.
They should not turn away emergency cases. That is why you are seeing that congestion there after that directive. So I'm helping them to do what it takes to take in the numbers that are coming. But I should also advise people that Kolebu should not be, all of us, including me and you, our first point of call. You understand my point? We should go there with very critical things on referral basis, so that we ourselves will also take part of the load from them. So let's just begin to visit the, how do I call it, the polyclinics. The same doctors you meet at Kolebu are the same type of people who are also sitting in the polyclinics, the same nurses. But some of the polyclinics don't have the type of bedding we are putting on Kolebu. If you go to Adabraka Polyclinic, I mentioned about 7 or so polyclinics that we can visit on the first instance. And if our situation is just said that we by all means have to go to Kolebu, that is the cases we should be taking to Kolebu.
The Doma East MP assured government it is doing its best in terms of investment within the limited resources to address the challenges bedeviling the country's health institutions.
The health insurance money that goes to them is part of the IGF. Some people pay out of pocket for certain services in some of these facilities. It is part of IGF. So everybody's asking for resources. The country has just one port for health, for roads, for sports, for energy, for everything. So when we do the distribution, you don't expect that we will put all the money into health so that everything in health will be so cozy to the neglect of other places. So when they share resources, and you manage to do with what you can achieve, you can get out of equitable distribution, optimal distribution of our resources that we have, you do the best that you can do. So in some instances, you may have to do some improvisation to solve the problems. But one important significant thing is that the little money that we have also had, how efficiently are we spending those monies? And I think we begin to look at this.
The minority, however, insists the problem is a financial one. Deputy Ranking Member for the Health Committee, Dr. Robert Kuganab-Lem, tells GH1 News government should, as a matter of urgency, release funds to all the teaching hospitals to address the congestion challenges.
What we have to do as a matter of emergency is to give some money, some resources to all hospitals, starting, of course, with the teaching hospitals, the regional hospitals, and the district hospitals. For example, what we need to do is we give Kolebu 2 million cedis. Expand your emergency facilities right away. Buy some beds right away to be able to take in the population, because we can see that there's an explosion of ill health and the facilities are not there.
Well, our eyes have been on Kolebu, which is a major referral health facility. We will be giving you some updates as to what the development has been, and Columbia later on in our bulletin. My colleague Della Michelle is on the ground there and will be briefing us on that. But before then, in the meantime, in other news, a group of youth wielding sticks and cutlasses burst into the Sola police station in the northern region Wednesday night, attacking police officers and threatened to torch the building after a local executive of the ruling New Patriotic Party was arrested and taken into custody following a confrontation with an officer over a woman. Residents said Adamu Sakara, the NPP youth organizer in the constituency, was picked up for allegedly attacking a police officer at his private residence, having suspected the law enforcement agent was in an amorous relationship with his fiancée. The officer, who was also attacked by a section of the youth, received medical attention at the Bole Government Hospital. Let's now go over the phone lines and speak with our Northern Regional Correspondent Eliasu Tanko for an update about the situation. Hello, Eliasu. Good day. Thank you so much for joining us. What's the current situation at the Sola police station right now?
Hi, good day. The police are telling us that they are started investigation into this particular jailbreak attempt by the youth, but they are also giving some clarification as to what happened yesterday or last night. The police are saying that the youth organizer was not picked up by them. They are claiming that the youth organizer went to the private residence of Officer Oklu Labista and then accused him of having allegedly having sexual intercourse with a lady that he promised or he has promised to marry. We understand that when he accosted them in the private residence of the police, the private residence of the police officer, he called some youth, and the youth came and attacked the police officer. The police are now denying this particular report, and they are saying that the youth actually came to the police station to demand the sack of this particular officer who was allegedly caught having sexual intercourse with the lady or with the lady that the youth organizer in that particular constituency has promised to marry. So as to speak, we understand the lady in question is also a community police officer working in the same police station there. The police are saying that they have spoken to the lady in question. They have also spoken to the police in question, and they are also speaking now to the MPP youth organizer, and they are trying to resolve this particular incident.
Eliasu, before I let you go, I'm just curious as to the person at the center of the controversy, that is Adamu Sakara. Where is he now?
As to speak, yesterday the report we had was that this particular officer was picked up. Now the police this morning denied that report. We do not know the whereabouts of the youth organizer. As to speak, the police are also saying that they are hiding the whereabouts of concealing really the whereabouts of this particular lady in question for security reasons. They do not want to disclose the location of this particular lady in question. And so as to speak right now, we do not know, apart from a report that we got that the police picked up this particular Adam Sakara, who is the youth organizer of the constituency. The police denied that this morning. And so as to speak, we do not know the whereabouts of this particular youth organizer. I must say that this is the second time police in the district, within this year, this is the second time police in the district have been attacked by the residents in that particular district. Only January this year, two police officers were admitted to a hospital after they attempted to arrest a suspected thief at a community just close to the district capital, Sola. And so this is just one of the worrying flashpoints of series of attacks on police officers in that particular area.
All right, thank you very much, Eliasu, for that update. That is Eliasu Tanko, Northern Regional Correspondent, giving us an update there on the NPP youth attack at Sola Police Station. Right, we'll have a quick look at our MTN video report for the day.
A lot goes on around us every day. Sometimes, traditional news outlets cannot capture it the very second it happens. But you have a phone that has a camera, so you have the power. Give us your account of the most depressing and interesting stories in your community. When it happens and you're there, you report it to 0551 433 055. When you see something, say something. Share it on 055 143 3055. MTN Video Report, Mondays and Thursdays on Newsroom, in association with
MTN. Everywhere you go.
A teacher who wants to remain anonymous has sent a video from Klamapatwe MA Basic School in the Volta region. The school, which is a dilapidated state, is usually forced to close down whenever it rains, making teaching and learning ineffective. According to the teacher, the roofing of the school is not completed. Whilst there are no sidewalls posing danger to the lives of teachers and pupils, he is therefore pleading with government and other philanthropic individuals and organizations to come to their aid. That is the MTN video report for the day. That is a video, as you can see on your screens, showing us the said dilapidated state of the school by the anonymous teacher who remains anonymous. And moving away from that report into other news, and specifically on top of our stories this hour, we've mentioned that the Auditor Service is preparing to embark on a comprehensive payroll audit to purge the system of ghost names. The Auditor General, Daniel Domelevo, says the collaboration with the Office of the Special Prosecutor would ensure that perpetrators are made to face the full rigors of the law.
And the ministry, the payroll of ghost names. According to the Auditor General Daniel Domelovo, the exercise would commence next week from the Central Region. Mr. Domelovo urged all heads of departments to cooperate with the Audit Service by providing all documents required for the exercise.
Well, fortunately for us, we have someone in studio who will give us a little bit more insight on that. He's the Deputy Auditor General in charge of Central Government Audit, George Swenzi Winful. I hope I've said it correctly.
Yes, you're right.
Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, first of all, give us a clear picture of just how widespread the issue of ghost names is on the payroll and what the service is going to purge for the system.
Well, we have been carrying out audit of government institutions. Each year we come across issues of payroll infractions. If you recall, our last 4 or 5 reports over the last 5 years, there's always an issue on payroll irregularities. If we also look at the percentage of the revenue that payroll alone consumes, it also gives us cause to worry about how our state of the management of our payroll system in the country has become an issue of concern. So we thought that this time round, rather than leaving individual teams across the country to carry out something relating to payroll, in which case the programs may not be uniform and so on, and we may not be able to get the global picture of how the state of affairs are, we thought it wise this time to sit in Accra, come with a team, review the payroll processing seriously, look at the areas that we need to confirm, and then provide assurance to the general public. We think that apart from the systems that the government uses in paying government employees, we also have to go around to find out whether those on government payroll are really existing or they are not. So that's the sense.
Now, this is not the first time this obviously is an issue, the ghost names on the payroll. As if you'll remember, April 2017, the Finance Ministry suspended the salaries of about 26,000 workers, in its quest to clear ghost names. That does not put an end to the story.
I would have been disappointed if you had not asked this question. In fact, yes, attempts have been made confirming the existence of government employees. But this time around, it's going to be different.
How?
Those others were initiated by other government agencies, not Ghana Audit Service. There were times that some private institutions were contracted to carry out some of these jobs. This time around, it's the Auditor General who is carrying out this exercise. And the Auditor General has the powers of disallowance and surcharge. So our powers that we have makes us confident that definitely when we do it, we are going to achieve results. As you will recall, not quite long, we did an audit on government liabilities. We rejected a total of 5.4 billion. And as we sit now, we can all feel comfortable that that pressure which would have been on our national pass is no more the case. So will it be for this one too. We are very poised to do the best we can.
Talking about power, why then the collaboration with the Office of the Special Prosecutor?
We think that we have to look at the value chain of the entire accountability system. Yes, we carry out our audits. We look at what Public Accounts Committee do for us. They are doing a great job. But we still think that if we get the state prosecutor to also be part of this, it will even add more value. And so the Auditor General thought that this is the opportune time to get the state prosecutor to be part of this exercise. So when we have come across and we think that there's something that is worth doing more investigation and then leading to prosecution, then we pass on the baton.
Just one more question for you because of time. When does this exercise commence? And then also, what then happens to those who are arrested in this process?
Well, we are going to start this exercise, and we are starting from Central Region, and we'll be doing the launching in Cape Coast on the 16th, and we are hoping that the regional minister as well as the regional heads of government institutions and many others will all be in attendance for us to launch this exercise. And then the actual enumeration will begin from 17th. And it will last for 10 days in Central Region. Will be spread across the entire Central Region. Will be present in the districts. And we are hoping that we will spend some days in the districts. And anybody who does not get enumerated within that period still have the opportunity of coming to Cape Coast for enumeration. As much as possible, we want to minimize any inconvenience. So we are stretching ourselves across the region, and we hope that whenever we come to your district, you take advantage and get yourself enumerated in your district than traveling.
You've still not said anything to us about what happens to those found, guilty.
The law enforcement agencies will deal with them. Auditor General will either surcharge, and when he surcharges, you go for prosecution, and then the rest is with the...
On that note, I'll have to thank you for coming through to our studios. He is the Deputy Auditor General in charge of Central Government Audit, George Swenzi-Winfield, who just broke it down to us. Process will be beginning shortly, as he has shared with us. Now, you'll remember earlier on in our bulletin, we did mention to you about the situation at Kolobu, that will be going back to you, and I understand my colleague Della Michelle is standing by to give us some updates on that. It has been 4 days, and scores of patients in dire need of healthcare are still stranded, battling for life at the country's major referral health facility, the Kolobu Teaching Hospital, due to a lack of space. While authorities at the hospital have suspended emergency cases referred to its surgical and emergency unit, Health Minister Kweku Ejiman-Menyu has directed the hospital to continue accepting referrals. Let's now go live to the Kolebu Teaching Hospital and speak to my colleague Della Michelle, who has been on the beat since this story broke. Della, good day. Thank you so much for joining us. What can you report to us right now?
Hello, Lerato. I'm just in front of the surgical medical emergency unit of Kolebu. Yesterday, when we were here, this place was choked. There were a lot of relatives around, just hoping that they'll be able to get some word or some positive feedback from the nurses in there, from the doctors in there who are attending to their relatives. But today I can tell you that the number has reduced drastically. As I speak, it's actually empty. It's more of like an empty space. The man is just going to show you just a few of it. You can just see that just a few people are out here, which was not the case as at yesterday. Just a number of them. I went in there to speak to the nurses and the doctors who are currently on duty, and the numbers has also reduced. As at yesterday, 51 cases. It started from 60 and it came to 51 cases, but today it's just about 45 cases. But I was told that this morning there were 4 referrals that was brought in. 2 were critical, and then the other 2 also needed attention. Now, the good news is that these patients, together with the others that were in there yesterday who were receiving treatment on chairs and in wheelchairs, they've all received beds. This is because there was a discharge at the medical ward, so those who were attended to at the emergency unit and were stable were sent to the medical ward for more money, for further examination. But now all those who were on the wheelchairs, all those who were on plastic chairs yesterday being attended to, they've all been able to receive bed, and they are all lying on the beds in there. I went into the wards as well, and the wards is full. There are beds, but these are patients who were brought in as at yesterday. And even today, those who came in, the 4 referrals, they've also received bed, Lerato.
How are the authorities reacting to the directive from the health minister to continue accepting referrals?
Well, I spoke to the PR, and what they're letting us know is that it is a directive that has come from the Ministry of Health. They have nothing to do about it. Just because of the case that came, the 70-year-old man who died out of no bed from the hospitals that he visited. So now they are going by the directive. They are just saying that these hospitals that are going to refer the cases to Kolebu Teaching Hospital should first of all get in touch with them to find out from them the availability of beds here, and then also let them know the severity of the issues before they are being brought here. Their main concern is that these other facilities or these other hospitals should be able to manage the situation there if it is not very critical. They made me understand the 3 belts that they are looking at: the red, the green, and also the yellow. So if it's not the red belt, if the patient is not that, if the situation is not that critical, then the patient can be treated at whichever hospital facility he or she is. So they are just hoping that this directive will also go down well to the other hospitals across the country, especially here in Accra, where cases are being referred to Kolebu, that they should be able to manage the situation there. If it needs urgent attention, or if it's that critical that they cannot handle, then they can bring it here to the Kolebu Teaching Hospital so they can be able to manage the situation. So what we saw on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday here, where people were lying on the floor, people were sitting on chairs, people were in wheelchairs receiving medical attention, it will not be a thing that we'll witness again.
Now, that is a good news, Della, that you are saying. And I'm interested particularly to find out from you. You have been on the beat on this particular story. And from observation, what is the sudden change that took place from yesterday to today, from 4 days ago to today, where we saw numbers of people stranded and miraculously today space was created for them? Would you say that the report has also managed to bring about these type of results? Or is there anything else on the ground that you were able to observe as the reason or cause that has made us achieve this kind of tremendous results at Kolebu, which was a crisis and now seemingly an institution that is flowing and operating normally today?
Yeah, I believe that what happened here 4 days ago was a concern to the nation, and people were worried that patients are coming to Kolebu. Now, mind you, Kolebu is Ghana's #1 hospital facility. People always come here. It is where they come in, and they believe that once they are treated, they are going to get well. So it's the one place where everybody wants to seek medical attention. So I'm sure the story that came in on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, people were concerned, especially patients coming in for medical attention. They have been saying here at Kolebu that they usually have this issue because this particular facility, that's the surgical medical emergency unit, is a 36-bed capacity. So they can only take up to 36 patients. But usually when they turn away patients, it doesn't mean that the 36 beds are all full. It means that they have excess. But with this particular one, people were coming in because they needed that attention. So as the media was hard, as GHOne kept reporting on this issue, it became an issue where people were hoping that something will change. And also, of course, the administrators here at Kolebu are also working because they told us that they're going to make sure that they will handle the situation. And I also spoke to the nurses today, and I was made to understand that the main medical ward had some patients who were discharged earlier today. So because of that, it brought space onto the main medical ward. So patients who were here at the emergency unit were just moved to the medical ward for further examination. So those who were here yesterday were now moved onto the bed. And I think that if this is what is going to continue here, more and more people are going to come because referrals are coming in. As we came in Larato, we just saw a man who was brought in a private car. He's just been taken inside. His vitals are being taken. I'm told that there's a bed available for him. So it's some good news that we've been able to get the result that we need. But management of Kolebu is also working to make sure that what we experienced here some 4 days ago will not repeat itself. And of course, now that it looks safe here, everywhere is clean. You can see them sitting, but it's not as before where they were just scattered all over. It looks like now the concerns of the general public is also being listened to. So that is what is happening here, Larato.
All right, thank you very much, Della. On that note, just an emphasis that indeed media plays a role. And just from that story, we have been able to see results, including a director from the Health Ministry, and operations at the hospital seems to be ongoing smoothly. That is GHOne TV for you. Stories that will change the lives of people, touch the lives of people, and most importantly, achieve results. Now, on the rest of our stories for the day, a study conducted by the Food and Agriculture Organization has revealed a drastic decline in the consumption of fruits and vegetables in Ghana. And according to the report, the country is far below the recommended rate of 4 to 6% vegetable portion daily. Senior Research Fellow and Nutritionist at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital, Reverend Dr. Tom Ndanu, says not only is the individual well-being at stake, but the country risks losing its youth to avoidable health conditions.
According to the Global Burden of Disease study, 3.4 million deaths worldwide is as a result of low consumption of fruits and 1.8 million diets low in vegetable. Despite the extensive promotion of fruit and vegetable consumption, worldwide per capita consumption is estimated to be 20 to 50% short of the minimum daily recommended levels of 400 grams a day. In Ghana, findings indicate fruits such as mango, orange, watermelon and now coconut are preferred by many. Currently, consumption of fruits and vegetables by an average Ghanaian stands at 1.5% and 2.3% respectively. High cost of some fruits and vegetables has made its consumption unattractive. Traders at the market confirmed that patronage has been low.
Cabbage 5 cedi, 8 cedis, 7 cedis. Farmers transportation is too high. Everyone we say local and you drone to way by the place to say where is your womb by way say nim. Almost saying yet there by the way say now would dear fine. Almost say now baby super now which way by way soon as a year.
But aside its cost, Some people say they are concerned about poor farming practices which make consumption harmful to human health.
I heard that some people are using chemicals for it to grow, they add chemicals to it. So some are local and then we have the other ones. So mostly I go for the local ones. But when I heard that they've been adding chemicals to it, I just stopped.
In our market today, vegetables are abound, but you may not really know where exactly they are coming from. And because one has to consume it, you don't really care so much about it, because when you care about it, where do you get it? But it's quite worrisome that we hear news of vegetables that are grown with water that are contaminated.
Kasim, a vegetable farmer, gives proof of this.
When you use straight pipe water, they help us, because they say the pipe water, they are using chemical on it. They help unless the gutter water. That's why we are using the gutter. As for pipe, they help us. The gutter water is good for this thing, for the vegetables. It's good for it. Yeah.
While many continue to debate on this matter, Senior Research Fellow and Nutritionist at the Korle Bu Teaching Hospital, Reverend Dr. Tomin Danu, has cautioned Ghanaians to consider the production, storage and even packaging of fruits and vegetables before consumption.
People selling this kind of fruits near very dirty gutters. That alone poses danger. That's number one. Two, during the production, do they use some dangerous chemicals to control the pests, to influence the ripening, or the type of fertilizers used? Are they type that pose health hazards? Do they get the fruits and vegetables contaminated? These are some of the issues that we need to talk about. And it is true. How it is produced, how it is packaged, how it is preserved, and finally served. Both the environment and the process, all these processes before you get it into your mouth, they are very important. We need to monitor.
Tomin Danu says fruits and vegetables are essential for every Ghanaian in order to prevent diseases. He recommended that government puts in place measures to create more awareness on the need to consume a balanced diet.
Time now to have a look at what's making headlines in other parts of the world on our international news segment.
Nigeria's President Muhammadu Buhari has given ammunition to critics who call him Baba Go Slow after admitting that he failed to sign a continental free trade agreement because he is a slow reader. Buhari said he intends to sign the agreement reached by African leaders at a summit in Rwanda in March soon. He says, and I quote, "I am a slow reader. Maybe because I was an ex-soldier. I didn't read it fast enough before my officials saw it that it was all right for signature. I kept it on my table. I'll soon sign it," he said. Buhari was speaking during a visit to Nigeria by South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa. Ramaphosa had earlier told Nigerian business leaders that South Africa saw huge benefits from the Continental Free Trade Deal and that a draft agreement relating to the movement of people was being reviewed. This was Ramaphosa's first visit to Nigeria since he became president in February. He said South Africa wanted closer relations with Nigeria. The two countries have the biggest economies in Africa.
A from that into entertainment news on E-Zone. High Life legend Charles Kofi Mann, popularly known as CK Mann, who passed away a few months ago, will be buried on Saturday, July 14th of 2018 in Takoradi. A vigil will be held at the Jubilee Park in Takoradi on Friday, which will be followed by the burial service at the Christ the King Catholic Church on Saturday. Here is a biography of the late veteran High Life musician.
CK Mann was born in 1936 in Cape Coast. He worked briefly as a seaman before joining Moses Kweku Opon's Kakeku band. His music career spanned over 4 decades, and he won multiple awards for his songs. After familiarizing himself with the Ghanaian music scene, he joined Ocean Strings and led the band until 1965. When the band was disbanded, he joined a newly formed band in Takoradi in the Western region, the Carousel 7. He came to prominence in 1969 when he released his single, Edina Benya.
Edina Branya, Edina Branya, Edina Branya, Edina Branya.
Well, this brings us to the end of our news bulletin today. Thank you so much for tuning in. Be lookout for our news updates at 3:25 and 5:25 respectively. Have a splendid day.
GHOne TV, your best experience.